Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Conray, a couple that loves to play Polyominoes.
PolyomiNovember.
Polyominoes.
We have a very special video today because we've invited a lot of our friends and people we admire to share a Polyomino game that they love. Now, because there are so many of them, we won't take up too much of your time. We'll let you just dive right on in.
Yay!
But with that said, show them some love, check out their channels in the descriptions down below, and let's start celebrating all the great Polyomino games out there.
And a big thank you to everybody who submitted stuff. We're so excited to be here. Let's go.
Let's go!
Hello, I'm Paula Deming. I make board game sketch comedy called Things Get Dicey. I also do other content board game related on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@PaulaDeming. And you might see me pop up from time to time on Watch It Played, doing Twitch streams of board games, top 10 game countdowns, and solo playthrough videos. So go check those out. Well, thank you for having me. I love Polyomino. Let me tell you about how much I love Polyomino tile laying games. It really is one of my favorite categories of game. There's something so satisfying about fitting the pieces in together and filling in this space. I loved playing Tetris when I was a kid. And the first game that I played personally where I went, oh, this is like Tetris pieces. Ooh, I really like this is... That's not... Can you read sideways? It's a Heil. It's a Heil. I got this game very early into my tenure as a content creator. And so that might be part of like its specialness to me. I featured it in one of my early sketch videos for Things Get Dicey. And I just really, really enjoy it. It's an interesting theme. You are in Portugal throwing a street party and you are trying to fit as many people into your block party as you can. And the people who come to your party are represented by the Polyomino shapes, right? And you have this board that rotates around, and the way that the card showing the shape you have to place in your turn is facing you is the way that has to go onto your board. You can't flip it, you can't rotate it, and you can manipulate that board to make things easier for you or harder for your opponents. And it feels like Tetris, but a board game, but it's unique. You're pulling Meeples onto your board to represent different couples and pairings of people who are coming to your party, and you're scoring points based on having the most people who actually are able to come to your party. And I just really love it. It has a special place in my heart, again, because it's basically the first game I played that made me go, ooh, I like Polyomino tiles. It's actually the reason I know the word Polyomino. I didn't know what that was before playing a Heil. So yeah, this game kicked off my love for Polyomino tile laying games. And so that's why I want to talk about it. If you have not checked out a Heil, go check it out. It's published by Meeple. And I got my copy from Pandasaurus. You can tell this is the old Pandasaurus logo. So it's a slightly older game, but if you can find it and give it a try, I highly recommend it. I like it a lot. All right, thanks for having me. I can't wait to see what other Polyomino tile laying games everyone else is talking about.
Hey there, friends. I'm Michelle, and this is my daughter, Billy.
Hi.
And we're from Second Star to the Left, a channel where we share board game reviews, ramblings, and a few wrong turns along the scenic route. We are so excited that Ilya and Tyler asked us to share Polyomino games because my favorite game of all time is a Polyomino game. Our first video ever was on that game, and so we're not going to share that game.
I feel like most of what we play are probably Polyomino games.
Yes, we've made a lot of videos about them. We've talked about how much we love them. But we want to share one that doesn't get as much attention as we think it should get. And that is Grand Carnival.
Woo.
Come one, come all, the carnival is coming to town. And it literally feels like that because the board where you draft your tiles is a train that brought the carnival to town.
It's pretty neat.
Right, and you're building out a foundation that you will later put attractions on. So the foundation are just square tiles, but they have paths that you can create to put those polyomino shapes on top. Then, in addition to that, you want to get guests to walk through the paths, stopping at your attractions, buying tickets, and making their way all the way up to the big top so that you can score more points than everybody else. One of my favorite parts about this that makes it different than other polyomino games is the action selection. You have actions numbered 1 to 5, and you have 5 personal player markers. If you select action 3, then you can't select that action again until all 5 actions have been selected. For example, if I wanted a 4 squared polyomino tile, I would put my marker on 4 and select that tile. Or maybe I need a foundation tile, so I would pick the 4th railroad car, or any lower than that, to pick a foundation tile from. Grand Carnival takes everything we love about polyomino games and just tile placement games and games with limited drafting and puts it all together and invites you to go build a carnival, get everybody to come into the big top. After a week, Carnival leaves town, and whoever scored the most points wins. I am sure that there are going to be many, many polyomino games in this video, and for this month that we are so excited to see that Ilya and Tyler are creating for everyone. But I think you should give this one a shot. Thank you for letting us join in, and we hope to see you soon. Bye!
Bye!
Hi, I'm Libby, this is Julian, and together we are Boxed Meeples. Our choice for Polyomino game is Barren Park by Phil Walker Harding and Lookout Games.
So in this game, as the name would suggest, you are building a barren park, a bear park. You're competing with other people to build bear parks around the world. You'll be placing polyomino tiles, which makes it great to be our favourite polyomino game, on a board. And as you place these, hopefully you're going to be covering up different things on your board, because covering up things allows you to get different polyomino tiles. You can expand your park, and once you've collected 3 more tiles to make it a 4 tile wide park, if you fill all those tiles up, you end the game. But more excitingly, if you fill up every single square on 1/4 of your board, you get a bear statue. You get to place this on a square that's normally out of bounds, and you get to shout, "Bear Park!" It's not in the rules, that's just a house rule that we do.
That's just your rules, and that is your most exciting part
I
of the game.
I love the bit where you shout Bear Park, that's
placing
great.
the statues.
And this game is also great if you want to learn how to say Bear Park in different languages, because everyone will be building Bear Park at different places around the world. So there you go. Good for language skills.
Yeah, I mean, I love the bear like enclosures in it. I enjoy how some of those ones you have different points, higher points if you get there first, and you can marry that up along with your bear statues, which are important, and the first ones to get them do get the higher points of those too. But along with those game scoring goals that you've got, so say for example you're looking to have 3 polar bear enclosures, I'm there racing to the polar bear enclosures, but you've also end up having to take some of the green ones that don't give you any points, and there are other ones that are sort of individual that you might need the space of, and they're not much larger, so they let you expand quicker. But you really got to think about how you're placing what on your boards when you're able to expand, when you're able to take these different coloured tiles to keep your opponent at bay and stop them taking all the good points.
It's one of those games where it feels like whatever you do is a good option, because yes, you get those bigger tiles that will allow you to contribute towards your end game objectives. That being said, the smaller tiles that don't give you points are in short supply. They're not enough for everyone to have lots of them. And in fact, the only way to get the single toilet block square is to get the no point bonuses. And if you're intending to get the bear statue to shout out Bear Park, you're going to probably have to plug those single spaces. And once they're gone, they're gone. So you do have that decision of, do I get the big things to start filling out my park and go for the end of game objectives? Or do I just start plugging holes and getting those for future turns? And also you've got to really make sure that you have a resource of polyomino tiles to place. You place 1 every turn, but you can have more than 1 in your pool of possible tiles to place. But if you have none in your pool of possible tiles to place, your turn is going to be spent entirely collecting a 0-point tile.
And then that's basically let your opponents get ahead. So you need to make sure that that doesn't happen. You're managing all your tiles, all your bare enclosures, and placing them cleverly. And it's a lot of fun, and it's family friendly. We enjoy playing it with girls from about 8, I think we've played with them.
And they were.
They're older now, but they really enjoy it, and they also like saying Bear Park.
Who doesn't love saying Bear Park?
Hello, my name is Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph. My other half, Mike, is at rehearsal for a play, so I'll be running this Polyomino little showcase. But we have a channel where we're both brothers. We do playthroughs, top 10s, a whole bunch of silly stuff. Check us out if you haven't already. But I am going to be talking about Llama Land today. I love, love, love Llama Land. It's so good. It's by that Praise Be, Phil Walker Harding. We always praise be to Phil Walker Harding because he just makes gamers. He's the absolute king at making family weight games that just bring people into the hobby. He's also very, very good at polyomino tile games. And I think Llama Land might be our favorite. Llama Land is just so darn good. It's kind of like a Phil Walker Harding Praise Be greatest hits. It has a lot of other stuff from his games. If you like games like Barren Park, Gingerbread House, other tile laying games, it's got a lot of that in here. This is a game where you are in, I don't know if it's specifically in Peru, but somewhere like that, where you are kind of building up a civilization up in the mountains, kind of Machu Picchu style. And so you have these polyomino tiles and you're putting them on, you're drafting them and then putting them onto the table. And then you are essentially trying to make a good base because you can start putting these polyomino tiles on top of those tiles to kind of start building up, you know, different levels and things like that. But it's kind of got some Barren Park-ness in there where when you place a polyomino tile, if you cover up any of the symbols in the game, you will then get those things. You can get things like corn and beans, and you can turn in those resources to get llamas. You can get different villagers. Those villagers will give you like special powers, some trades that you can do, different things like that. You can get some wilds and you can get some other stuff as well. And so you're building up your kind of plateau. You're building up your civilization, I guess, or whatever. And you're doing that and trying to do that the best way you possibly can, trying to build good bases so that you can put polyomino tiles higher and higher up because you'll be going for objectives. And these objectives in this game, you're kind of racing towards, and they're going to want you to build things in a very specific way or have llamas in very specific spots. When you get a llama, you will turn in resource to get a llama, and then you will put it into your little world. But now that llama is there, and you cannot obviously put anything on top of that llama. And some of these objectives might be like, you're going to get a certain amount of points for having 5 llamas on the 4th level or higher or something like that. And so it's a nice puzzle. It's actually one of Phil Walker Harding's heavier games. It's not a heavy game, don't get me wrong, but it's one of his heavier games. And again, it's kind of that greatest hits with Gingerbread House, Barren Park, a whole bunch of different stuff. And it's so, so good. And so we had to choose it for Polyomino Tile Game of the Year because it's an absolute blast. And it's by that Praise Be Phil Walker Harding.
Hi everybody, it's Amy and Maggie from ThinkerThemer, and we're so excited to be here to talk about polyomino tile games. And Tyler and Ilya, you have picked a great mechanic for this month.
So satisfying. How do you make these little pieces fit together? Do I rotate it? Do I flip it this way? It's just every time.
It's got that nostalgic Tetris vibe about it. But anyway, we wanted to think about which one should we include from our collection, and we were looking at what is everyone else going to talk about. And so we were trying to work through our collection. Maggie was picking out
and I was like, well, what about this one?
No, that's taken.
And then I was like, oh, what about this other one?
Also taken.
It's like, what about our number one of all time, A Feast for Odin?
Also taken. So firstly, everybody that's included in this video has great taste in games because you pretty much covered off our entire collection, all of our favorites. So instead, we thought we'd talk about the newest polyomino tile game in our collection, and that is, Maggie, Spanish please.
Dragones del Mar.
Or Sea Dragons in English. And this game is, well, it's by 3 designers, one of which is Simone Luciani, who typically does heavy Euros, but this is not that. This is family weight, this is a light game, and this is just really accessible. And what it is you are putting down physical sea dragon shapes that are going to be polyomino shapes that come from cards that you're playing from your hand. You play the card down, and then you get to place the sea dragon down in that kind of configuration. But the trick is you always have to be adjacent to other people's sea dragons and not your own. And also, when you touch other people's sea dragons or are next to them, it's going to trigger such that they get given coins. So you don't want to be adjacent to too many sea dragons, because then you're giving out free coins, basically.
Yeah.
And why do you need coins? Because this game is an area majority game. So at the end of the game, you're scoring for the quadrants of the sea that has, you know, the most, hopefully you've got the most influence there, the highest number of sea dragons. But you can stretch a shape or a sea dragon across 2 quadrants and have presence in either one, but that's going to cost you coins. So that's why you need those coins.
The other things you can do is you have these little ship tokens. So as you're kind of going over those, you're collecting those, and they help towards different objectives. And then there's also these coral areas kind of towards the edges of the board. And with those ones, again, like you get access to these cards that can have hidden bonuses, like either hidden money, or they might have some of those icons from those ships, or even hidden parts of dragons for the area majority at the end. So that can be pretty good as well.
So as we move into the holiday season, of course, it's great to have some accessible games on hand that you know everybody can enjoy together, and adults and children. So that is Sea Dragons, and thank you for having us as part of this video, and we'll be back with more board game content soon. But otherwise, bye for now.
Hi, and welcome to
Inspired to Game. I'm Sean.
And I am Lola. On our channel, we aim to share our joy of board games with you. We do this through videos of lists and reviews and playthroughs. I do some solo content as well. And at the end of our videos, we like to make some outtakes and bloopers because we do not like to take ourselves too seriously.
And hopefully some of what we do will help inspire you as well to pick up this hobby.
So, our favorite polyomino, my absolute favorite, to be honest, is Planet Unknown. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we are talking about one of my first favorite polyomino games ever, Cottage Garden.
Yeah, remember, this was one of those games that we looked out for a long time because she wanted it so bad.
Yeah, and to introduce it, I do want to say this is the first in a trilogy by Uwe Rosenberg. So the second one is Spring Meadow, and then there's Indian Summer, or maybe that's reverse order, I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter.
They're all in the trilogy.
They are all polyomino games. This is my favorite of the 3, and it is a game that I come to again and again because this game brings me so much joy to play. There is a board where everybody takes turns choosing a tile based on where the token is around on the board, and you place it on one of 2 gardens in front of you. Now, each of these gardens has pots and cloches on them that are worth points if left uncovered. You can cover them if you want to, but you work around those to try to make the most points to fill your garden. There are cats that if you have them, they're like extra little pieces that you can use to fill in a spot for free.
Yeah, like most polyomino games, it just fills that spot of just organizing things and using everything as efficiently as you can. And let's not kid around, any game that has cats in it is just great.
I actually had a house rule where every time you placed a cat, you had to say meow, because it just made it more fun, you know? This is one that it comes out again and again over the years. We've had it for many, many years now, and it's not one of those ones that just sits on your shelf and you just don't take it out. It comes out because it is such a pleasure and a joy to play. It's very zen and it's very peaceful, and I love all the little garden pieces as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's a great game, and it teaches you what a cloche is, which is just great.
For the non-gardeners that don't know that already. I want to thank our friends Ilya and Tyler for having us on this video today. If you enjoy this content, if you want to check us out some more, come over to Inspired to Game. We have cookies. It's like the dark side.
And as always, happy gaming, folks.
Hi, I'm Alex from Might I Suggest a Game, a channel devoted to helping you find your perfect board game. And today I get to talk about one of my favorite genres out there and also one of my favorite board games in that genre. The genre, of course, being Polyomino games. And the game that I'll be talking about today, it's Isle of Cats. Ever since I discovered them, I've been a really big fan of Polyomino games. There's something so satisfying about having two pieces fit seamlessly together and just kind of doing a jigsaw puzzle while you play a board game. I think just really adds a level of strategy that really scratches my brain in the right way. So I had been playing different Polyomino games like Patchwork or Baron Park, and those ones really got me started. But the moment that I got a chance to play Isle of Cats when it very first came out, I remember I was at a local board game convention. I got a chance to get it to the table. It was kind of the hot new release, and after playing it, I was just blown away. This was also pretty early on in my board gaming journey, so there is a bit of nostalgia tied to this game as well. But there's just something so satisfying about this game and the way that you really have to manage a lot of things going on. If you haven't played Isle of Cats, basically this is a game where you play as someone who is rescuing these cats from an island. You've got to get baskets to take these cats from the island to your ship. You've got to make sure that you have enough fish to be able to entice them onto your ship, of course. You'll also be collecting treasures and some public and private objectives as well. But essentially you're just collecting cats of the same color, trying to make families on your ship and trying to fill out the different rooms on your ship. One thing I really like about this game is one thing I like about a lot of different Polyomino games. It's getting those pieces that fit perfectly with one another is basically a game in itself. So getting a chance to kind of do that within the realm of the rest of the game, I think is just such a fun and puzzly and strategic challenge. But I think the thing that really sings for me in this game is actually what is added on to the Polyomino element. It's not just making this beautiful jigsaw puzzle in your pirate ship, which is also kind of weirdly shaped, which makes an interesting challenge as well. But you've got the pick and pass card play, kind of like Sushi Go. You've got to balance your resources. You've got this resource management element to it as well, because you could have a bunch of baskets queued up to rescue the cats, but if you don't have enough fish to get those cats to want to come onto your ship, then you're out of luck. This game is all about finding those little efficiencies. Efficiencies. You see what I did there?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The card drafting phase is where a lot of those important decisions are being made. I really like having to balance, oh, do I take treasure this turn? Or maybe I take a private objective so I can score more points at the end of the game. Or maybe I take this basket that I can use this round and maybe it'll put me further up in the turn order so that I can draft sooner. There's a lot of different things to consider, which I really enjoy. I love when there's a lot of things to keep track of because that means there's a lot of passive victory and a lot of ways to win. Unless, of course, you challenge me to a game of this on Board Game Arena, in which case there's just a lot of ways for you to lose. Sorry, don't know what came over me there. So if you're looking for a great Polyomino game with some tricky strategy and a ton of really cute cats, then might I suggest Isle of Cats. Anyways, thanks to Ilya and Tyler for inviting me to be part of this video. Enjoy the rest of these awesome suggestions from some awesome people for Polyomino Month.
Hi everyone, my name is Monique.
And I'm Naveen, and we have a YouTube channel called Before You Play, where we do a lot of playthroughs, reviews, tutorials, all sorts of different types of board game stuff.
And today, we're going to be talking about a Polyomino tiling game that we both love. So thank you so much to Ilya and Tyler for having us on. Now the game that we chose is called...
Paris La Cité de la Lumière.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if I ever pronounce it correctly. I feel like I gave myself a good shot with it. But this is a two-player only Polyomino game that plays in roughly 30 minutes, and it's one of our favorites because of that. It's designed specifically for two of us in a very, very short period of time. And what's really nice is the box becomes the playing surface in this game.
Yes, that's right. In this game, we're basically building up the city of Paris and trying to light up the buildings as well. And so like Naveen was mentioning, this is a two-player only game, which makes it very tactical. The game plays in two phases, and basically over the course of the first phase, you are building out the cobblestone setting.
Like the pathways.
Yeah, and then in the second phase, you're building out those buildings, but it is very tight, very tactical, because you have to reserve the buildings ahead of time, and any buildings that you don't place out are going to score you negative points at the end of the game.
So in the first phase of the game, when you're laying out these cobblestones, it's actually going to dictate who in the second phase is going to be able to lay out those building tiles that they've acquired in the first phase. phase. So it's kind of this tactical thing where it's like, okay, I have a building in my possession. I need to make sure that these squares kind of line up so that in the next phase, I can place it out there and make sure that that building is getting some light shined on it.
Right. And it's interesting because some of the cobblestone spaces are purple, which means either player can place a building on that spot.
Hybrid.
So it's a very, very, sometimes a mean kind of game. Because you're trying to score for yourself, right? But it's very beautiful at the same time. And there are a lot of different postcards that you can choose from to play each game. And there's also an expansion that just basically builds upon the base game.
Yeah, we enjoyed the expansion when we played it. We've been playing this game for a couple of years now. The very first time we ever played it was at Essen when it was first released. Really, really enjoyed it then. And after now 5 years, it's still in our collection.
Well, there you have it. That is one of our all-time favorite Polyomino tile-laying games. Thank you so much to Kavre for having us both on. And we hope you enjoy the rest of Polyomino Tile Month. Thank you. Bye.
Hey everybody, we're Mackenzie and Jonathan from TerreDice Games, and we live in New York City, so we thought it would be a shame to not talk about this awesome Polyomino, New York 1901, published by Blue Orange Games, designed by Chenier LaSalle, and art by Vincent Dutrait.
Yeah, so New York 1901 is a game where we are vying for land in Lower Manhattan. And what's interesting about this is that you'll be expanding out, placing those little construction workers on spaces, and you're going to be building polyomino buildings. Now, those buildings come from 3 ages. You have the Bronze Age, the Silver Age, and the Golden Age. Now, you're going to start the game only being able to place those Bronze Age buildings. And over the course of the game, you might demolish some of those buildings to make room for your silver and your gold. Now, the concept that's interesting about this game is that you now control that land as part of your estate for the rest of the game. You're responsible for filling it. However, you can fill that kind of however you want. I might have 2 bronze buildings that are taking up, a shape like this, and then I might later on replace them with a single silver building that takes up all those same spaces. Now, I might also place a silver building that doesn't fill up all those spaces and leaves empty spaces. Those can now be overlapped with other zones where I can build other buildings. So I still control the land. Now, I can completely vacate a space, but I'm going to have to put one of my construction workers back on it because I'm now responsible for that space for the rest of the game. So it really makes you start to think about not only which polyominoes you're placing now, but which ones you'll replace them with later.
So New York 1901 is a really great family weight game, and it was actually one of the early games that we played when we were first diving into board games, and it was my first introduction to polyomino. So I really like this exchange and this idea of having, and that the polyomino will change throughout the game and the different shapes that you create, which I think lays down a really good foundation for you to learn and dive into the polynominos to come.
Hi everybody, I'm Starla.
I'm Mick.
And we are
Our Family Plays Games. Yeah.
And we're here to talk about one of our favorite polyomino games, Monolith.
Yes, from Simon Game. And it's 1 to 4 player, and it's made by the guy who makes a game every month, Phil Walker Harding, baby. Yeah.
Yes, now in Monolith, you are building monoliths.
Yes.
And you've got this cute little player board. Now, I know it looks small, but this little thing is how you get all your points.
Yes.
And so each side of the board has different colors, and there are 5 different colors of tiles out here that you're going to play with. You've got your little main board here where you're picking tiles.
Yes.
And you've got this little crystal thing that moves around as you pick tiles.
And you can go to 1 to 4 spaces
1 to 4
and
spaces.
get a tile. You're like, I want this one, and then you go there, boom, And I'm trying to fit here because I'm trying to get that one color so I can get some points.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And so you're kind of racing to kind of beat your opponents or your rivals because you want to build your monoliths faster than them so you can get bonus points. And so you're picking the colors, and as you go around this little wheel to pick polyominoes, you've got to, kind of be mindful of the colors and where you place them. Because once you go up to another level, you can't place on the level underneath anymore. So you got to make sure you've got everything that you need to do on that bottom level before you try to go up to a second level. And so throughout the game, you're going to get points from your structure tiles or your structure tokens. You're going to get points from your level tokens, and there are prophecies.
Yes, right here that you got to get and put down. And that's what you're racing for. Saying, okay, I think I can get about 7 to 10 flying colors on one side, and you got to think you can do that
Exactly.
and hope you can do it. Yes.
Exactly. So if you fulfill all that, the player with the most points will win.
Yes.
Now this game has a real Tetris-y look to it.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It looks like little Tetris blocks that they were dropping.
And you're doing
down.
3D Tetris, y'all. 3D Tetris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this one really looks like Tetris.
That's Tetris. Yes, that's Tetris.
Yeah, but
yes.
it's a fun game.
It
now,
is.
we actually played this game for the first time when we were at BGG Fall in 2022.
Yes.
And playing it, we just fell in love with it.
Yes, we did.
If you are a tactile person and you like the way
Ooh, you're
things feel,
feeling it. Yes.
I mean, these are nice chunky pieces.
Chunky.
You know, so they really did a great job with the production of
With
this
some
game.
weird writing on it.
Yeah, some kind of, I don't know, hieroglyphics or I don't know.
Some strange, hieroglyphics, yes.
But it's a lot of fun.
Yes,
It's an
it is.
easy game to learn. It is very gateway.
Yes.
I mean, we were taught that game one time and we picked it up really easily. But it's a lot of fun. It's quick to play. And we just had a really good time playing Monolith.
But Stola, it's Phil Walker Harding.
Come
on.
Yeah, so it's a fun game. So be sure to check it out.
Check it out, folks.
Hi friends, Ruel from Tabletop Tonight here, and I love Polyomino games. My wife Michelle and I love these games. Anytime you have like Tetris style pieces and you're laying down tiles, I mean, count us in. We love Patchwork, Project L, Number 9, all those. It's just such a fun mechanism, and hopefully you've got some great ideas from this list. I'm going to point out one game that I feel like sort of flew under people's radars. It's the founders of Teotihuacan. Michelle and I played it for the Tabletop Live Network event, I think a year or two ago, and this is a lot of fun. It's a really cool mix of a bunch of mechanisms. Of course, you got your polyominoes, and you're building the city of Teotihuacan, and you're going to build using the different polyominoes, but also you're going to generate resources. You're going to do some set collection for points, and it's a really cool balancing act. And I feel like this game doesn't get the love that it deserves. It's definitely a step up from your standard or gateway style tile laying games, but it's not overly heavy that you're playing this for 3 hours. No, it's in that perfect sweet spot for me, about 45 to 60 minutes, and you should check it out. It's so good, and I just love it so much, and I thank Kavre for having me on. Folks, check out the game, and we'll see you later. Bye!
Hi, I'm Daniel from BoardGameFeast, where I cook up thematic dishes for your favourite games, because game night is always better with snacks. And I'm also a co-host for the Omnigamers Club podcast, and today I wanted to talk about one of my favourite Polyomino games, that is Small City from Alban Viard. So this originally came out in 2015. This is the brand new deluxe edition though that just came out this year, illustrated by the wonderful Quanch-I Maria. So other than the name, there is not much small about this game. Like most of Alban's games, like Clinic for example, probably the one you're most familiar with, this trends towards a pretty heavy simulationist sense of play. As you can probably guess from the name, this is quite similar to the video game SimCity. You're building various residential, commercial, industrial buildings across your city, managing pollution and parks, moving your citizens and tourists around the city, all while trying to garner some votes. And while there is quite a lot of rules overhead here, most of that's going to come down to just the adjacency rules of what type of buildings can go next to each other. The core part of this game is that there's 8 rounds, and each round all players simultaneously can build up to 3 buildings, and there's a lot of agency into what those buildings are. You can basically have free pick of all of the options here as long as you have the money and follow those adjacency rules. So there's this real sense that you can all just jump into the sandpit together, experiment, move things around, see what you like the look of, and build your perfect city. There really is this sense that each turn you place your tiles down, then pull a lever to run the simulation and see how well you built things that turn. And there will be some hard lessons learnt those first couple of games. You can also send your citizens as tourists to other players' cities and block some of their key buildings, which does add a surprising amount of interaction for this game at higher player counts. There's quite a lot of back and forth to manage there. But because you have so much agency in how you build your city, this is one of those games where you can get so invested in building your perfect aesthetic city that you start to forget that you're actually supposed to be earning points. There is just a joy in that tactility and aesthetic of putting the tiles in a thematically cohesive way. But if all that starts to sound repetitive, there is one expansion and 2 more on the way that add a whole bunch of new building tiles, new maps that all have unique challenges, and even some more monstrous options for those of you that like to play SimCity just to unleash disasters. Thanks so much to Ilya and Tyler for letting me join in on the Polyomino celebrations and for building such a wonderful community. Thanks, bye.
Hey everyone, I'm Jess from Community Connection Gaming. I'm a board game content creator, and you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Jess_CCG. I was super excited when Kavre asked the community to share some of our favorite Polyomino games, and one of mine has to be Cartographers from Thunderworks Games, designed by Jordy Aiden. In this game, you are a legendary cartographer summoned by Queen Gimnax herself to map out the kingdom of Nalos. What you're going to be doing is drawing out terrain on a map instead of placing polyomino tiles on a board, and you will do that based on the card draws that get flipped over, the terrain types that are displayed, and the edicts that will score you points throughout the game. Now let me show you how this works a little bit, and let's get down to the table. So different than polyomino tile placement games, in this game you're actually going to be drawing out polyomino shapes on your map based on the cards that get flipped through each season. Now you have some of the cards have different options for you to choose more than one shape, and some of them allow you just a singular shape for you to draw on your map here. So as, for example, something like this. Now you will see they'll have different terrain types and what shape you will draw onto your map, and those will be needed to know for the edicts that you will be scoring throughout the different seasons. You'll go through the 4 seasons of the year, score the edicts that are shown on the board, and tally up your scores down here at the bottom of your player sheet. What I like about this game is the replayability of it. There are several different edicts that you can shuffle and deal out throughout the game. Each new game can be something different. There are also going to be these ambush cards that come out that kind of hinder your placement of your different terrains and everything. And if you have the included heroes, which is a separate base game, but also can be combined with the original cartographers, it adds more cards. It adds the hero cards, which allow you to give into more availability for you to destroy or take out some of those minions here. Also, what's really neat about the Cartographers series is that there are several different map packs that you can add to your experience. There's ones where you're dealing with volcanoes, or you're on some islands and you're going through the islands there. There are ones where you have to go underground with the Undercity. There's here in the Frozen Expanse, you're going around a frozen lake. And so on and so forth. We've got Kethra's Step here with the different beacons that you're having to light, and Hornhelm, where you're actually going to a market and purchasing items to help you throughout your cartographizing. So there is so much to be said about this game. I truly, truly recommend playing it. It is easy to teach, easy to learn. I feel like anyone who enjoys just polyominoes but wants a different little take on it, definitely check out Cartographers.
Hi. I'm Jeff Kornberg from the Dragon's Tomb, the only channel on YouTube that does board game reviews and how to play videos. My favorite polyomino game has got to be The Mind. Most board games have the exact same boring square box shape, but The Mind comes in this tiny rectangular box. Whenever I'm trying to fit games onto my shelves, most of them have to go into very obvious spots that are suitable for their dimensions. However, The Mind can fit just about anywhere. It's proven to be the most versatile polyomino in my entire collection, and is always the most fun to figure out a place for. Plus, it fits down my shirt for convenient traveling, easily making this my #1 polyomino game.
Hi, I'm Will, and with me as always is Eurogamer Girl herself,
Sarah.
And we are Rolling with Two. We're a board game channel on YouTube that focuses on reviews, as well as two-player perspective and accessibility for board games. Now, it's Polyomino month, and we decided to go with Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Now, one of the reasons why we chose this is because it actually approaches polyominoes in a very strange way, where it starts taking your basic shapes, usually rectangles and squares, but it says, nah, don't mesh them together like that, and starts throwing circles and ovals and putting doors in weird spots to make very interesting looking layouts.
And on the accessibility side, what's really interesting is, since it's all open information, and I have some spatial reasoning issues, it's not so good, and Will's vision is not so good, we kind of end up on an even playing field, whereas in other tile laying games, I might have an advantage because I can see everything clearly, and Will can't. But in this case, I can't figure things out, neither can Will, but that's half the fun of, you know, Castles of Mad King Ludwig is, I think it'll fit there. Does it? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, you know, that kind of thing. But then it's really great when everything does.
Yes. So if any or all of this seems helpful to you, you can check out our reviews and our two-player perspective and accessibility on YouTube under Rolling with Two for Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Hello everyone, this is Johannes.
And this is Cinema.
And we are Board Gaming Ramblings.
We are a YouTube channel
Yes.
with reviews,
Yes.
playthroughs, and we're
Yes.
doing the Keeper Code with our
Doing
whole collection.
And new games as well, because
Yes.
games that just keep coming in, and we play them and we keep them and we kill them and review them, as you just said. We like talking about board games, many board games. We
Yes.
like medium and heavy board games. We played lighter board games as well, but the medium and heavy is kind of our bread and butter.
Yes.
And today we are talking to you about a Polyomino game.
Yeah.
Because we like Polyomino games.
We do.
And this is one of them, one that we like. This is The Magnificent. This is from Porter Games, from Eilif Svensson and Christian Amundsen Östby. What is this game all about, you ask? Do you want to answer?
Yes, it is about performing with your artist, like your carnival circus artist.
Circus people.
Yes, and you are dice drafting. And you are taking one of three actions, taking tiles to polyomino.
There
tiles.
are polyominoes in this
There
game.
are.
Yes.
That's why we have this game
Yes.
here. And you are traveling around to get gems and bonuses, and you're also performing. And placing the tiles is one of the main puzzles in this game.
Absolutely, because this is a kind of abstract game. It's not an abstract game, but it's an abstracted theme game. Like the thematics is not heavy. If you don't know our channel, we don't care too much about themes of games. So like the mechanisms, and this is a dry, dark, black Euro. It's very dark. Like there's not much colors, very few colors, muted colors in this one. But the main puzzle, as you say, is building up these polyominoes, because you're getting bonuses for them, but also need a specific colors and specific amounts to be able to do the performances, which is basically a, what do you call it, like a recipe fulfillment game. You have these cards with different things you need on them, and there's only 3 actions in the game, but the game is very tight, a tight little polyomino tile placement game.
Yes, one of my favorite things about this game is that when you're drafting tiles, you have 3 colors to pick from.
3 of them.
And if I first pick like a die with a green 4, for example, the next time, if I pick another green, I will add those two numbers together and I get a super duper action, which I think is really cool.
This game also has an expansion, like the base game has a little variability, but it has an expansion called Snø, which is snow in Norwegian, which also adds a lot to the game and is super cool. If you like any of the games from a portal like Santa Maria, Revive, and all the other ones, those are like the biggest ones that are most comparable to this, I think you should check out The Magnificent if you haven't already. It's a great game.
Yes.
I think that's it for us.
Yeah.
On to the next person. That's us. Bye.
Hi, I'm Judy.
And I'm Michael.
And we are the Nerd Shelves.
Thank you so much, Kavre, Ilya, and Tyler, for inviting us to join you on this video.
Thank you.
Today, we've been asked to talk about our favorite polyomino game.
Totally up my alley.
Totally up your alley. That is true, for sure, yeah. We love polyomino games because they're actually really great to play with the family, with that puzzly aspect. I mean, there are so many games, but so many. But there's one that our family especially loves, and it is
Project L.
Project L from...
This is published from BoardGameFeast. It is very simple tile laying game.
It's great, actually.
Easy to learn and hard to master.
Easy to learn, hard to master.
Yeah.
What a great way to say it.
And during your game, you're just complete your puzzles and upgrade your tiles and try to score the points from the puzzle. Some are easy, basic, and some are harder. So each player can go up to 4 puzzle cards. Yep. You have to finish by the end of a game, because if you don't, they are negative points.
Exactly, yeah. It just had, like most Polyomino games, it just has the basic Tetris-like pieces.
I love that.
I mean, this game really reminds me of the board game version of Tetris.
Yes.
Right? The pieces look the same. And you're, like you said, you're just putting them on the cards in front of you and completing puzzles, and you get points for each puzzle you complete.
Yeah.
And every time you complete a puzzle, you also get better tiles as you go.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple, but like you said earlier,
it's hard to master.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So one thing I really like about this game too is not just the puzzly aspect of it, but the component quality is pretty top notch.
Yes, when you are shaking the tiles, you actually can hear the crispy sound.
They're very crispy. I don't know, there's something about them. It almost reminds me of chiclets, some gum that we used to eat. I just want to eat them all the time.
Yes.
And all the puzzle cards that you're completing, they're all dual layered boards, which, if you know me at all, I'm a sucker for dual layered boards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the print is really beautiful.
It
I love
is.
that.
The production quality is perfect.
Yeah. There's also two. There are also 2 expansion, and it's Ghost Piece
and the Finesse expansion.
Yes, they add more kick to it.
It does,
and yeah, more advanced.
Absolutely. But I mean, the base game is perfect in
Already
itself.
good. Yes. So that is Project L.
Yes, and thank you so much again, Calvary, Ilya, and Tyler, for asking us to join you in this video. Thank you so much.
So that will be it for today.
Yeah, until next time.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Hello everyone, my name is Jamie.
And I'm Jeff.
And we are from Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
Board games.
And
board gamey things.
Exactly. And do you know what we love?
Polyomino games.
Yes. Do you know who else loves Polyomino games?
Ilya and Tyler.
They do. It's so funny. You always say Ilya and Tyler, and I always say Tyler and Ilya. Which is right?
That's true.
I don't know.
I've never noticed that until right now.
We got way off topic. We're here today to talk about our favorite Polyomino game, which just so happens to be... Are you ready for this? Everybody stay in your spots. Planet Unknown from Adam's Apple Games. So for anybody who doesn't know about this game, I don't know how it's possible. Potentially you're living on a planet unknown, because this is a hot game.
I was making funny faces.
Board game hotness, okay? Now, Planet Unknown is a Polyomino tile placement game where you are terraforming a planet, I think, by placing out Polyomino tiles onto a planet. Now, there are some asymmetrical planets where you just play with the basic planet. If you basic, you can do that.
We basic.
The Polyominos live in a Lazy Susan. Don't I wish, right? Wouldn't that be fun? And you just you're like, boop, I'll pick this tile from Lazy Susan. And that means the side that's facing your opponents, well, guess what? They got to pick from one of the 2 tiles in front of them.
It do be facts.
And they have to figure out how to fit it in their planet. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
And there's a track. There's
a track. And you're bumping tracks. Yep. So you're like, guess what? I just got some rovers.
Park.
Boom.
Some forest.
Or parks and forests.
I'm going to
You're
go
bumping
up
the track,
forest track.
and then there's a little dial, and it looks like a pizza pie.
Yeah.
And that means you could bump up another track.
Yeah.
Bumping tracks and bumping tracks. Anyways, that is a very in-depth explanation of Planet Unknown, which just so happens to be our favorite Polyomino.
There's probably zero help in there.
Probably not. But you could play this with friends, or you could just play by yourself, which I do all the time. It's a great game to play alone.
Because Jamie has no friends.
Exactly.
Including me.
Except for Tyler and Ilya.
That's true, but they don't live here.
That's true. I hope everybody is celebrating Polyomino Month by playing their favorite Polyomino games. And that is just a little bit about Planet Unknown.
As it's known around my brain, PU.
PU. Anyways, that's our segment. And we're sending it 2 weeks too late because we love you guys.
That's what we do.
We love you guys, and we hope everybody has a good time. Okay, goodbye. Good luck with that one, Tyler and Ilya. This is the best we could do on the brain power we have.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda Panda, aka Panda Angel. I'm primarily a board game Twitch streamer. I do physical and digital playthroughs live with my friends, with designers, with sometimes people from the publishing company, so that you can get to know some of the people behind your favorite board games. I love raising diverse voices up and making the board game hobby more inclusive. I'm also an Our Family Plays Games Voices contributor, where I do interviews with people in the community, content creators, designers, and people from the companies that you love. So I hope to see you in those videos as well. Today, I'll be talking about some of my favorite Polyomino games. Now, a lot of them will be talked about by other people, so I won't say anything about Baron Park or Olive Cats or Planet Unknown. These I do love, but I do want to show off number 9. I love number 9 because I can play it and teach it to just about anyone. I taught it to my cousin and her friends, and they loved it so much they wanted to play multiple times. For one copy of the game, you can play 1 to 4 players, but if you have multiple copies, you can go as high as you want. In this box, I have 2 copies. All you have to do is cut off a little bit of the insert and both will fit nicely, and I can play up to 8 players now. Number 9 is very easy to learn, and it plays in about 20 to 30 minutes. All you're going to do is flip over a card, and everyone's going to place the exact same tile. Each tile you place must be touching at least one other tile, and it has to be touching at least one square. It cannot be corner to corner. You can rotate the tile all you want, but you cannot flip it over. On higher levels, you must overlap at least 2 different tiles, and you cannot have anything overhung. You're going to place tiles 0 through 9 twice. After you do that, you're going to score. How you score is you are going to multiply the number on the tile by its level. The level that touches the table is level 0. The next level is level 1 and 2, and so on. Whoever has the highest score wins, and that is number 9.
Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. I make content about board games on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You can't escape me. Thanks so much to Kavre for having me on here to talk about Polyomino games, because I love Polyomino games. It's one of my favorite types of games, one of my favorite genre of games. I just love the puzzly nature of them, which honestly is a little ironic because I don't like puzzles. Puzzles, boring. Polyomino games, delightful. You know, who figured? I'm here talking about Wild Tiled West, which is one of my favorite Polyomino games of the last few years. It's got a really fun sort of rootin' tootin' Wild West theme, and then still the very interesting tile laying aspect of it. You're going to be covering up a bunch of stuff on your board and getting various benefits, and you can never do everything. So it's like, what do you want to go for, you know? Do you want to make areas of cows and then you can herd cows and get points that way? Or do you want to cover up pickaxes and get mines? Or do you want to cover up horseshoes, which are negative points at the end of the game? There's just a lot of paths to go to get points in this game, and so it feels very replayable, right? Every time I play it, I do something different. The way you get tiles in the game is interesting as well. There's these boards and they have these wells with different tiles in them. You'll be rolling dice at the start of a turn and then putting the dice into the spots on the shared central board based on their numbers, and then only those tiles are available for that round, you know? So I can't get anything I want. I have to basically draft one of the dice, and then that gives me the tile that I want. And again, it is very thematic. There are bandits, and you're gonna get sheriffs, and sheriffs can shoot bandits, and the bullet that you shoot the bandit with turns into a tombstone. And I just love the Wild West theme in general. I grew up in California, like going on field trips to gold country when I was in like 4th grade, and I don't know, this feels like that, you know? This feels like Jesse James robbing a train and hiding out in a cave. And I love that it's like snappy turns too, you know? I'm somebody that, boy, analysis paralysis kills me. I can't do it. I'm gonna flip the table and leave, and you know, this is one where, like, it feels pretty snappy. Though the playtime is, 90 minutes or something like that, there's not that much downtime. It always feels like it's moving. So Wild Wild West came out this year from Direwolf Digital, and it will for sure be in my top 10 games of the year and is definitely one to check out. So yeah, if you like the Wild West theme, you like polyominoes, you probably do like polyominoes. That's why you're watching this video. So check this one out.
Hi, I'm Christina.
I'm Shu.
And we're from Going Analog. We have a bi-weekly podcast in which we invite industry guests and we each bring a topic and game to discuss. So it's pretty different every single time.
And we do the Board Game Quiz Show, in which we invite industry guests, content creators, and game designers and such, and we test their board game knowledge.
Very specific knowledge that everybody should know, of course.
Or not, yeah. So what did we pick today?
Okay, so we were invited by Tyler and Ilya to talk about Polyomino games, and
we picked A Feast for Odin. And as soon as we got the invite, I was in my email and I saw the invite come through. I'm like, pick it quick before the other content creators get to it, because we know everyone loves this game and everyone probably would have wanted to pick this game, but we got there first. So we signed up for A Feast for Odin. Yeah, it's an awesome big game, and it's much more than a polyomino game.
Yeah, exactly. So if you played any Uwe Rosenberg games, who designed this game, there's a lot of worker placement. So you've got some tasty choices for worker placement, just like a normal Uwe Rosenberg game. Everything is open from the beginning of the game. And as you put in more and more workers, you get more and more powerful actions, right?
Yeah, there's just so many things to do here. If you look at this board, it's crazy. So this is kind of hard to teach to maybe less experienced players. But if you're looking at this, like these take 1 worker, these take 2 workers, 3 and 4. But you have so many different choices. Some will let you convert resources. Some will let you do more farming. You could go hunting. You could go set traps. You can go explore other islands, which will let you put additional pieces down on these islands and such. You could build boats. There's just so many different things.
Because you're working on your home board to make your settlement the most, victory point-ish, honestly. That's what's going on. So we've got, the polyomino element here is important because you start off with a home board with negative 86 points, which is pretty classic.
Yeah, all these little things, negative points you have to cover up eventually.
So you cover them up with valuables and trades and like goods that you've worked on through your worker placement. You could take these ships that will help you find better goods on these other journeys and things like that. But ultimately, this is a feast for Odin. So at some point, at the end of every round, you also have to make your Vikings or your people happy. Turns out a Viking is actually the journey, but you have people to make happy and feed, right? So you've got to lay them all out or you get negative points again.
Yeah, you have all these selfish men to have to feed. But that's a hard part of it. Like it's typical of games from this designers. Like you got to figure out how to balance scoring points and building everything and feeding the needs of the hungry. So, but yeah, here's all the polyomino places where you fit them in and try to figure out how not to cover up certain bonuses, how to build this efficiently and reduce the points.
And get more income, the better you build it out. So it adds this extra element to a very like classic Uwe Rosenberg sort of feel, but you get the extra pieces. You still get some other fun classic Uwe things. Like my favorite things are making sure my animals breed, so I make more animals and stuff like that. So of course you've got your pregnant little sheep and cows and such like that. So if you like this game, of course, everybody who loves this game also loves the Norwegian expansion. So you want that too. You get a juicier board with that ramps things up faster, more islands, more animals, more fun.
All right. Well, that's A Feast for Odin. That's from Going Analog. Well, not from us, but that's our pick. So now you can stop watching. You can go play a game.
Bye.
Hi, this is Ambi from BoardGameBlitz, which is a YouTube channel, podcast, and Twitch channel all about making concise board game content. Over on YouTube, I made some how to play videos and some video overviews. I like covering things that I don't see covered much, like 18xx games, children's games, free print and play games, but basically I cover whatever I want to. Similarly, on the podcast, me and my co-host Crystal, we just talk about games that we played, and it's a 30-minute bi-weekly podcast, so quick podcast. And then on Twitch, we live stream, so that is not quick. But onto our picks for Polyomino Month. My pick is Patchwork, which is a 2-player competitive polyomino game themed around quilting, but I don't really care about the theme. But in Patchwork, you're basically paying currency of buttons and time, which is movement on a track, in order to gain different polyomino shapes and place them on your board, and you're trying to like fill out your board as much as you can. But what's interesting is that the tiles you're using are shared between the both players. So there's a whole circle of tiles, and on your turn you can pick one of the 3 that are in front of the pawn, and then your pawn moves to that spot that you picked. So you're like deciding what to pick based on what you think the other person wants and trying to prevent them from being able to pick what they want their next turn, because it'll be the next 3 in front of them. Also, it's not necessarily going one after another. The person who's furthest back on the track goes. So if you get a piece that costs a lot of time and you have to move forward on the track, then the other player could go multiple times in a row. And you might not want to let that happen depending on which tiles are coming up in the line. So Patchwork can be a really cutthroat game of trying to deny the other player the pieces they need while also trying to get the pieces that you need. But if you like Polyomino games, you've probably heard of Patchwork before, so I'm going to turn it over to Crystal, our resident Polyomino game expert, to talk about a game that you might not have heard of before.
Wow, Ambi, Patchwork is a great choice. It's a modern classic for sure, and I know I love it. I'm going to go a little bit more off the grid with my pick, and this is one that you may not have heard of, but you should definitely check out, and that is Remember Our Trip. Designed by Sashi and Daryl Chow, 2 of my favorite designers. This is a game where you and your friends are competing to see who can remember your trip to either Japan or Singapore the best. Let me show you how it works and why I love it so much. Throughout the course of the game, players will be collecting tokens for different types of locations for their vacation in Kyoto or Singapore, and they can then start scoring those sections and adding them to the main board in the center of the table. If another player remembers the same thing in the same place, they'll score bonus points for synergizing with the main board. But let's say another player recognizes something a little bit different. They remember that hotel was located a little bit differently, or maybe the building was shaped slightly differently. They can still score bonus points for the parts that synergize, but they won't get quite as many as players who match the shape exactly. So when we call this a polyomino game, we're cheating a little bit because some of these shapes definitely aren't polyominoes. But when these tokens come out, they all must be placed in the shape of the given card for that round. When somebody else puts something on the main board and you're like, no, that park wasn't there, it was just a little bit to the north, it is actually kind of fun to debate where things in your vacation took place. It's a rare polyomino game that has a theme, and the theme actually works. So that's why Remember Our Trip is my favorite polyomino game, and I hope that if you get a chance to try it, you'll enjoy it too.
All right, thanks Crystal for sharing that, and thanks to Ilya and Tyler for having us on for Polyomino Month. We really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy hearing about all these great polyomino games. Bye!
Hey friends, my name is Jenna, and if you do not know me, I am the face behind the YouTube channel called The Board Game Garden, where I create a bunch of different types of content that I try to have be as warming and comforting and welcoming as possible. Whether you are new to the hobby or if you are a seasoned veteran and you've been in the hobby for years and years, huge thank you, Tyler and Ilya, for inviting me to be part of this video. I am a huge fan of polyomino games. I have countless amounts that I absolutely love, but we were told to talk about one polyomino game, and the one that I decided is one that I feel like needs so much more love than it has and gets, and that game is going to be Miyabi. It is a polyomino game where you are drafting polyomino tiles and creating your own Zen garden. And the thing that makes Miyabi interesting is that it is actually a layering polyomino game where basically you are drafting these polyomino tiles and kind of making a foundation, and then once you have that foundation, you can actually build on top of the other tiles, and as you build up, the more and more the victory points are multiplied. To give you a quick overview of how the game plays, basically each player is going to have their own board that's going to represent their Zen garden, and on that board it's going to be a 6x6 grid. All of the different rows are going to be different icons you have to place in that row, and the different icons are going to be, I think, rocks, bushes, flowers, koi ponds, pagodas, as well as trees. And those are going to be in the rows. You can only place the certain icons in the rows, and each of the different Polyomino tiles are going to have those different icons. The bigger the Polyomino tile, the more of that specific icon they're going to have on it, and also the more victory points, because you're going to gain victory points based off of how many of that specific icon is on that polyomino shape. And then also for the columns, you are only going to be able to place one of those icons in each of those columns for that round. It's a very interesting Sudoku-like puzzle, which I absolutely love. And basically you're going to continue doing this until you have completed or drafted all of the tiles, completed your Zen garden, and then also at the end of the game, whatever player has the most icons showing in each of the different types of icons are going to gain some additional points, and then whatever player has the most victory points at the end is going to be the winner. Definitely go and check out Miyabi. Again, huge thank you, Tyler and Ilya, for having me here on this video. I'm very excited to watch this back because I am excited to hear more about all of the Polyomino games. Like I said, I'm a huge fan. But yeah, that is Miyabi, and I am Jenna from the Board Game Garden. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile. Bye.
Thank you so much to all the wonderful suggestions of Polyomino games, for sticking around and listening to all of them. Hopefully you found inspiration for a new game that you're willing to check out.
Yeah, that was very exciting. There's so many games to talk about. There's so many more games to talk about as well.
That was a lot of laughs, a lot of hearts, and a lot of wisdom in one video.
Yeah.
But before you go, make sure you check out all those wonderful people and the links down below. We've linked all their channels and where you can find them. Show them all the love that you possibly can. Leave them a funny PolyomiNovember pun.
Yeah, or
is there
don't.
polyomino puns?
Instead, what you could do is comment down below what your favorite polyomino is, because we'd love to hear about it.
Exactly.
Maybe it wasn't touched in this video. Maybe it's going to be touched in another video. Maybe it's not going to be addressed at all. Who knows?
That would be tragic.
It would be tragic, but we need to know about it.
That's true. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.